Hello everyone and welcome to this new episode of Top's Tutorial, and today's episode is actually going to be on Bowser Jr.'s Forts. This one actually has a pretty funny story behind it. So after failing on this track numerous times in the CTL match we played against JC that I posted last week, I got drafted. No, you can't.
Okay.
Mateshroom. No, I fucked it.
They failed.
Casper fucked it as well.
I'll just hope for the best. Oh,
Dude, there's no...
I made cut him for.
I decided the very evening to grind it for tops, and I actually got it just in a couple of hours. So after Sean's suggestions, today we're just gonna do a quick top tutorial on it. The track overall is fairly easy aside from the obvious shroomless, but I'll dedicate a big portion of this video on that. So, just to start us off, you can easily go really tight on that electric panel here. Depends on cycle, but at the start of the time trial run you should be able to go pretty tight. On the shroom cut, you actually want to shroom as late as possible, hopping into the cut and then shrooming while drifting and TFing off. The reason for that is simply because once you want to land as far as possible on this bounce pad here, so you land closer to the corner and get a tighter drift, as you can see right here. I get as much distance as possible, drifting really tight, just gaining as much time as I can really. And here we come to the shroomless, the most infamous part of the track. Of course, if you want to play it safe, you can just get a shroom over here and take the shroom cut that way. Of course, in a time trial run where you already want to take that shroom cut, that's not going to be the correct option, though if you're just aiming for ESG, one shroomless or two is more than enough. But for tops, you'll have to go for 3 out of 3 shroomless, and especially at least 2 out of 3 tight shroomlesses. I'll explain on that a bit further, but essentially the best way to to clear that gap is to aim as far and as parallel to the zipper as possible, starting a drift there, tricking off after a wheelie, canceling your wheelie mid-air, and then turning, trying to aim for the upper part of this curve right here. And wheeling as you're about to go off. That way the height from the wheelie will transfer, the height and speed from the wheelie will transfer to the jump, which will allow you to clear the gap easier, which should be enough if you are simply aiming to go for the shroomless cut in particular. But if you're aiming for tops, there's actually one last part that's really important, and that's landing on this rail. The reason for that is simply because airtime is much slower, so you want to land as soon as possible, and starting a drift over on that rail will allow you to get an MT as soon as possible when you land. It's also just in general less airtime, so you'll want to cancel your wheelie and nosedive around the middle of the jump, so you land onto the rail proper, and that allows you to get some pretty fast shroomlesses. You can get an even faster one, where if you go pretty much at the edge of the railing, it shoots you downwards straight to the ground. It is extremely rare, but it does save quite a bit. Overall, this type of shroomless, I would say, saves around 3.4 if you do it correctly, which over the course of a run can really save you just a bunch of time, especially considering how tight tops is. First and second is really far away from third, which is like 0.2 away from 10th. It's really quite odd. It's just a matter of like grinding the track can be a bit annoying in general, but that happens on a lot of CTs in all honesty. So after managing to get the MT, you just keep a wheelie going into the cannon, trick into the cannon, land. As soon as you land, you wheelie, and then you hop left a bit to get a better alignment going into the staircase here. If you hop quickly enough, you'll be able to keep 97 kilometers per hour or 96.6 going into the wheelie here. Then just get an empty wheelie. Usually, you just want to aim sort of this area because the spinning zapper will just aim in this sort of area, meaning that you can just aim for the edge here where it will never be, instead of just aiming tighter. It's pretty much just a safer play. Then trick, tail dive as much as possible, because since this is on a really downward slope, you want to gain as much distance as possible by just gaining as much horizontal distance instead of just nose diving and landing as soon as possible. Then just a quick trick here, wheelie a bit through the grass. You can wheelie a bit through the grass to get better alignment. It's not that big of a deal, though you'd rather just clip as little of it as possible. Drift really tight here. Don't hesitate to release your MT a bit later here, so you make sure to get a good alignment on this wheelie, which will be really important, because this zapper does kill runs if you just try and not realign. So that way you just keep it rolling, and then on the final turn you just start wide, drift, you just start wide, drift tight, and then release your MT around here, so you can get an MT wheelie towards the end of the next lap, where you just keep it going. So overall, now that has been said, this run was pretty decent overall, though it does miss the tight shroomless lap 2, so it could easily have been as high as like 3rd worldwide. Really, those tight shroomlesses are pretty much what's going to decide your run if you want to go for tops. They save just way too much time, especially if you do them properly, so I recommend trying them out and just trying to get them as consistently as possible if you're aiming for tops. If you're not, just train you consistently on shroomless. Don't hesitate to hold back after going off, just for that added distance that can just help you clear the wall, which often is just the way that people fail it, is because they barely don't clip the wall, especially during matches. So yeah, aside from the shroomless, pretty standard track, and I'll just leave you with the clean run, and see you guys later.